No. Good night, YouTube. Good night, YouTube. Apologies over there on YouTube. Apologies if you weren't hearing me due to the mic situation. Good night. Welcome. I am your co-host Nathan Springer, joined by the beautiful host who came running out of nowhere. So what's up? Tell the people good night. Good night, people. Ha 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 ha. Yeah, man, Mikael Modesto, what's the good? Greetings, Sparky. Greetings. Let's see if we could jump into some news and run through some of these stuff so quick. She is so beautiful. That the lady said you are so beautiful. Are you beautiful? You're beautiful? Okay. Who's beautiful? Of course you are. Yeah. Once you're on the inside, make sure you hit that like button. Double tap the screen over there on TikTok. That's how you hit that like button. If you are viewing this over on YouTube, do be sure to hit that like button over there. To drop a comment, tell me what you think. Make sure you are subscribed if you aren't yet subscribed. Yes, Otis, I wish she would. She came running from just that spot. She was already in bed. Why aren't you sleeping? You all heard the answer? Because she needs to say hi to the people. That's why she's not sleeping. All right. What's all in the news? All what's in the news. Why are you trying to eat your hair, girl? Well, first story we're jumping to tonight. Interesting stuff coming out of legal/entertainment world in Trinidad and Tobago. We know the legal entertainment world crossover out there in the international realm or in the United States is getting sketchier and sketchier by the week with that whole diddler case going on right now. But we're talking about our own entertainment and legal trouble over here. So, first story jumping in there. Stalin's wife seeks to overturn judgment for unauthorized use of photo. I think somebody's ready for the dodo. Tell the people good night. Bye, folks. Run along. Yeah. Stalin's wife seeks to overturn judgment for unauthorized use of photo. Otis says that's just so immoral and unethical. The widow of five-time Calypso monarch Leroy Black Stalin Caliste is seeking to overturn a default judgment of over $300,000 obtained against her by a photojournalist for the unauthorized use of a photograph of her late husband. Late last year, Angelo Marcel, trading as Trinirazi HD, sued Janet Caliste after the image he took of her husband at the new pub in Woodbrook in 2011 appeared on promotional material for a Black Stalin-themed concert on October 4th. Marcel claimed that Caliste's wife did not seek his permission before permitting the use of the photograph, which was published by the TNT Newsday newspaper with his approval. Although Marcel challenged the position before filing the lawsuit, the photograph was not removed from television and social media advertising, and the concert was eventually held at the Southern Academy for the Performing Arts. Marcel claimed over $360,000 in compensation, which was based on his daily fee for use of an image on television and social media. The unauthorized use of the claimant's copyrighted work has caused the claimant to suffer loss, his lawyers claimed. In February, Marcel, through his attorneys, obtained a default judgment against Caliste's wife after she failed to enter an appearance in the court in the case or file a defense. Arita says, Nathan, why are they bringing all these deportees so close to my community? Close to your community? Where are they bringing them exactly? And, you know, this is interesting. the whole copyright issue here. Like, okay, you took a photo, but the reason your photo is popular is because of the person in the photo. And now to go back and attempt to sue the person in the photo's wife after they're deceased. I mean, I guess I could understand, you're trying to make sure a bad precedent isn't set where people don't think that it's something to take lightly, that copyrighted material could be used like that. But for someone else's photo, bro, I find that a tough one. Personally, I find that a tough one. And according to a lawyer who eventually responded for for Stalin's wife, the reasoning is that she didn't have money to afford a lawyer. This $360,000 was awarded to the journalist by default because Stalin's wife didn't show up to court. Stalin's wife didn't show up to court. And allegedly she didn't show up to court because she couldn't afford a lawyer to do the whole thing. That is because it was for an event that was geared to make money. If you're doing an event that you plan on making money with and you're using someone else's work, you could understand why they would want them paid. And well, Aretha, the truth is, what else are they going to do with the deportees? What are they going to do with the deportees? 3 deported for sex crimes. Minister reveals convicted murderer among 21 to be sent back from US. 3 sex offenders, 1 convicted murderer, a convicted human trafficker, and 4 people who committed immigration violations are among the 21 Trinidadian nationals who are being deported from the United States on Friday. The others were guilty of a host of miscellaneous offenses. Defense Minister Wayne Sturge detailed the major offenses committed by the deportees during an interview with Guardian Media at his Temple Court, Port of Spain office yesterday. Asked if the sex offenders highlighted by the US authorities will need to register upon their arrival here, Sturge admitted that government will have to make an adjustment to existing laws to deal with that issue. So a convicted sex crime person is back, well, 3 and no registry. Well, the idea, Abdul, is for the registry in this case for the sex offenders. Or are you against in practice an offenders registry? Do you think that is an unnecessary burden on someone who has already paid their time in prison? I could understand the argument, but for me, register yourself now. Register yourself now, Pervy. And as for what to do when the time is served for the general sentences, of course they're going to be deported back to here. Well, according to how bad the crime is, No. I don't find they should face further jail time if they already face their jail time. No. According to what the crime is, you may spend the prison sentence in the US, and when you exit your prison sentence, when you have completed your prison sentence, they post you back to sweet home Trinidad. And I mean, I could understand it from the American point of view, because I wouldn't want any criminal foreigners chilling out in our country either. We have enough homegrown criminals all on our own. We don't need any foreign used criminals. So I could understand it from their perspective. The reality is, though, that it's unfortunate sometimes that some of these people have spent so much time out there. They may be more Americans than Trinis anyway. Yes, they have. It has been a consistent thing. This isn't something new or strange. Asked about chances concerned about NGO's ability to house more deported nationals, Sturge said there was an issue raised and solutions are being drafted. He said the Piparo Empowerment Center, which was once owned by reputed drug lord and convicted murderer Nankisun Budram Dolchedi, is one venue being considered for housing deportees who may not have families who can accommodate them upon their return. First of all, we've reached out to the Minister of the People, Social Development and Family Services, because there are several facilities under the control of a ministry that we can utilize. Mad Max, I've now doubled. So it's kids, and they're both fine, well and healthy. Well, according to the minister said they would have to do some legislation to do an update on the whole registry business. So let's move on. Munilal demands probe into 1 billion UE Debe campus decay. Oropouche East MP Dr. Rudal Munilal is calling for a full investigation into the maintenance and use of the University of the West Indies South Campus in Debe, which he says cost taxpayers nearly $1 billion. Good night, Paul Duncan, but remains mostly unoccupied and in disrepair. Speaking after a tour of the facility on Tuesday, Dr. Munilal said he felt angry and disappointed by its condition. It was a horrific experience in a certain way to see the state of disrepair after 10 years. The horrific condition of some areas of this campus, Munilal said. He described the 100-acre property as overgrown in parts with rusting railings, a dry Olympic-sized swimming pool and derelict sporting facilities. He said the cricket pavilion was abandoned and overrun with bush. There are now a lot of Kobo using the facility as a resting place. It is just horrible to see, he said. Yes, Kevin, yes. Peaceful Power wants to know, was it needed in the first place? Well, you see, Abdul Hakam, someone has to be paid for the probe. Some lawyers are still going to make some money. Right now, people showing they ain't responsible. Who people showing they ain't responsible? Are you talking about like the officers that already have guns? They're showing they're irresponsible? What does that have to do with us? I don't know why new governments always abandon the projects of their predecessors. Yep, Otis, that's a problem that I have. That's a problem that I have. It's a sad reality. And it's understandable because sometimes there are multiple factors inside there where you don't want to make your opposing political group seem like they're too successful, so you don't want to necessarily carry on some of their flagship programs. But then that's on the bad negative side. But then there's a reality too, where you may just have a different vision for the thing. You may have a different vision for how things are or should go, how things are meant to go. And if you have a different vision, what do? Force yourself? And Kevin, yes, there are irresponsible people all around. That's true. That changes nothing in my view. The people lose out when politicians do that. Correct. And that's to some extent why sometimes authoritarian countries, dictatorships, monarchies, etc., they have a bit of a bonus on some of us more democratic countries, because they could actually plan things. They could plan things for the next 25 years, while we have no idea what may happen in the next 6. Whatever this government has planned, they best wrap it up within the next 5 years, or unless they are going to win again, then they have the next 5 years to finish. And if they aren't finished, well, the next one is going to cut it. 2 steps forward, 2 steps back. The Emirates, Dubai, etc. Yes, correct. Correct. Now, I'm not saying I want Tanti Cams to be Queen Cams. That's not what I'm saying. But I'm just saying that there is a reality of the way bureaucracy causes wastage, mass wastage. And it's not only the UEDB facility. There are examples of that all over the country. Citizens showing the colors with pew pew. What citizen showing what colors with pew pew? Now they're intending to use that UEDB facility, I believe, as a global medical facility, something. I don't know what you're talking about, Kevin. You keep saying this, but I don't know what you're talking about. Yeah, they're planning to use it as a global school of medicine where international students looking for more advanced degrees in medicine, medical degrees, would go there. Educational tourism, yes, correct. But even so, Dr. Munilal isn't very happy with that as it stands, because the original intent of that campus was for law. They wanted a law faculty down in the heartland of the Southland. That's what they wanted. Us Central and South people wanted to be able to train lawyers in our backyards. That's the original intent the People's Partnership had when they created that campus. And they have a mock courtroom and everything inside there, so that's the intent. They wanted to go back to that intent. We'll see how it all goes. I find we have enough lawyers in Trinidad and Tobago. We don't really need much more. But do you think that the demerits point system works? What do you mean works? Works in what way? What are we looking for when we say works? Maybe power to initiate probe should be given to the president, not sitting governments. Well, the president is generally chosen by a sitting government, so that's one way. Now we have a bit of a unique case right now, because our current president would have been selected, by the last administration. So a bit of cross-pollination there. Continuing with Munilal though, Munilal at that same walkabout out there in DB, Munilal reaches out to Guyana. Once Cooperation on Energy Matters, Energy Minister Dr. Rudal Munilal has written to Guyana's Minister of Natural Resources, Vikram Bharat, expressing the desire to collaborate on energy matters. Munilal disclosed this to members of the media following a tour of UEDB South Campus. He was responding to statements by Guyana Vice President Bharat Jagdeo that the mainland territory did not have sufficient gas production to export. Munilal said while he did not have one-on-one discussions with either Guyana's President Irfan Ali or Jagdeo, he was expecting a response from the Natural Resources Minister of Guyana. He said initiatives were also being undertaken for collaboration in Suriname and Grenada. However, he said there was an election in Suriname, so that's a bit on pause. And he also said that the intention Trinidad has with Guyana is not just gas, it's on the general cooperation in the energy sector. Promote better driving? No, I don't think the merit system promotes better driving. Nathan, Trinidad and Tobago has 220.1 million barrels proven in the ground. What is the problem? Well, I don't know what the problem is, sir. You're asking the wrong guy. But he is saying the interest here isn't just in getting Guyana's gas. The interest here is also in working alongside Guyana, getting jobs from Guyana, working with Guyana with our expertise and years of experience we have. We'll see how that all goes. I don't know necessarily if that requires government intervention or involvement, particularly from at least from the cabinet level. I think a lot of the involvement between Guyana and Trinidad and Tobago could take place on the company's level. They could have those decisions and negotiations going on. He said the ministry would also have discussions with the Guyanese private sector. Young, wrong. Munial said the former energy minister Stuart Young was wrong, as there was a model to run pipelines outside of Venezuelan waters. Throughout the world, pipelines are run through water and land. It is quite common with international commercial arrangements and international law to run a pipeline through other territorial waters belonging to several countries and on land. In fact, there are pipelines that run through Eastern Europe, Western Europe, everywhere. That is a normal commercial and international negotiation, he added. Addressing the matter of the Pointe-à-Pitre refinery, he said he was awaiting technical reports before holding a tour. Young, in response to that, though, says, no, it's not that Young is wrong. Young says, Munilal wrong about pipeline. Former Energy Minister Stuart Young says Energy Minister Dr. Ridal Munilal is wrong to suggest it is feasible to run a natural gas pipeline from Guyana or Suriname to Trinidad and Tobago without running that line through Venezuelan territorial waters. Speaking to reporters outside, we know where Munilal said all of that. In a Facebook post, Young said the option which Munilal referred to does not exist. The feasibility of any pipeline project depends on a number of factors. It has to be cost effective, and the cost of landing the gas in TNT has to be at a price that the local market will buy it at. Young added, we did feasibility studies a couple of years ago, and the cost of building a pipeline from Suriname, assuming there is sufficient gas to export, which there was not as yet, and passing it around Venezuela's territorial waters would not make any commercial sense. He said it will be too expensive to build a pipeline from Suriname that does not run through Venezuela's waters, adding to the cost of landing the gas in Titi, and no one would be able to afford the gas. It is simply not commercially feasible. Young expressed concern that all initiatives suggested by government to secure future gas supplies are not feasible at this time or in the medium term. If there are sufficient gas reserves in Guyana and Suriname, which I hope there are, there then comes the feasibility concept, and it is something we started working at. He said gas reserves in Guyana and Suriname must also be proved up, as those were undetermined. But again, this is many years off. Young said if there's a feasible gas supply from Grenada to Titi, this could take 10 to 15 years to access. In 2012, under the then UNC-led People's Partnership Coalition government, Titi signed an energy MOU with Grenada. In 2018, under the then PNM government, the NGC and Russia-based GPG agreed to commercial terms to explore possible energy resources in Grenada. An exploratory well was drilled in Grenada's offshore Nutmeg field, but abandoned and capped in 2018. On May 12, Guyanese Vice President Bharat Jagdeo said while Guyana is open to discussions with TT about future gas supplies, it has no gas to supply to anyone at this time. We need all of the gas there for power generation and the fertilizer plant. Aretha, we aren't taking in the panel tonight. I'll go too long. Tomorrow is Thursday Talks. We'll chat tomorrow. I'm just getting through some of these stories here. ExxonMobil calling all the shots in Guyana. Correct. That's correct. Well, not all, but a lot of the shots they are calling. You saw UWI campus. What do you mean? Pictures of it? If I saw some, yeah, I saw some pictures of it. Yes. I was about what I expected. It was about what I expected. But again, this is some. I guess the present administration can prove the former prime minister, the Kobo Sweat prime minister. They could prove him a liar. They have the opportunity to do just that. Say that, hey, this man is a liar. Because if they can get access to these sources in short time, that will prove him a liar. If they can actually build a pipeline that circumvents Venezuela, they can prove him a liar. They were depending on Guyana and it backfired. I don't want to believe that a whole political party was depending on Guyana. I don't think that's true. I don't want to believe so. Because I think Guyana was pretty clear to see the direction they would go in. Guyana was never hinting like, they were going to come and pull us out of a hole. That was never on their mission list. Speaking of Venezuela, ex-IIR head, U.S. ruling may push Venezuelans to Trinidad and Tobago. More Venezuelans could end up in Trinidad and Tobago after the U.S. Supreme Court allowed President Donald Trump's move to strip 350,000 migrants in the U.S. of protection from deportation, said Dr. Anthony Gonzalez, former head of the Institute for International Relations at the University of the West Indies, St. Augustine. The ruling overrides a California's judge ruling. The status lets people, the temporary protected status, lets people live and work in the U.S. legally if their home countries are deemed unsafe owing to occurrences like wars, natural disasters, or other extraordinary and temporary conditions. Gonzalez said Trump had got the court to revoke that status given to them by former President Joe Biden. He said Trump plans to deport them. I wanted to ask you if we, the citizens, can do a real study on this gas thing and how feasible it is. No, not exactly. Not exactly. Because those feasibility studies are by and large done by the subject matter experts, as someone said earlier on there. They are by and large done by companies in the oil and gas sector. So, unless you're going to pay a company privately to attempt to do the feasibility study, then and then there are lots of unknowns. It's a hard thing to really test like that. The real issue in Trinidad is Trinidad has to depend on other countries' resources / gas. Well, most countries do. Nathan, in your opinion, do you foresee the influx of Venezuelans into Trinidad as a security? Of course it is a security risk. It is a massive security risk. Massive. If a whole human can enter the country illegally, can't a gun, can't drugs, can't any form of contraband, a whole human, a whole woman and her 2 babies could enter the country illegally. They can't bring across 3 guns. So of course it compromises the security. Also, an underclass that cannot deal with law enforcement is creating a criminal class, an oppressed, advantaged class. That's what you're doing. Any Venezuelan that is illegally here and cannot just walk into a police station for fear of being sent back, they're already in a kind of criminal possible class. That's a fact. Put onto that the Venezuelan culture where there are already lots of gangs and violence over there. I don't think we needed any help. Of course they do, but that's not a good thing, Abdul. That's not a good thing to undercut labor in our country. Undercutting labor is not a good thing. And then we continue doing that, and 20 years down the road, we're sounding like some of those in the United States, like, oh no, we can't get rid of our illegal immigrants. How are we going to mix concrete? Like if people aren't able to do that all on their own. Of course they should regulate it. Of course they should regulate it and keep it a manageable amount, and strictly so. And strictly so. Let me read one last story before I run away. One last story before I run away. And this, I keep reading these stories every now and again to keep people in mind. Don't let the internet chain you up and make you end up in a court case. Just today I was seeing a piece of drama going around on Facebook about former Attorney General and local government minister, and accusations of a carnally improper nature. I saw those accusations going around on Facebook, and such things are pretty clearly stipulated as defamatory, if not true. So if you are sharing such things, I hope you have evidence, incontrovertible evidence, to prove such things, because people are making money off of you guys. $740,000 for educator in defamation case over social media posts. A High Court judge has ordered a businessman and educator to be paid $740,000 by two medical professionals in a ruling on a defamation lawsuit that highlights the dangers of posting unverified claims online. These are soul-damning allegations that touch the essence of the ethics and morality of the human being. They are some of the worst things that could be said about man or woman, Justice Ricky Rahim said of the allegations as he awarded damages to teacher and businessman Colin Chin Aliang. He filed the lawsuit following a series of online posts made between October 4th and 7th, 2021. The post made by Dr. Tarini Bhagwan Singh and initiated by Dr. Gia Lead, included statements and images that falsely portrayed Chin Aliang in an extremely negative light, significantly damaging his professional reputation and personal standing in the community. According to the judgment, Bhagwan Singh reposted and endorsed the content on his Instagram and Facebook accounts, tagging a popular advocacy group. You see, one of them that has to pay didn't create the post. One of them who has to pay shared the post. Money went missing today from City Hall in San Fernando, some $90,000. That's a lot of money. Well, I mean, to go missing. But, I mean, it's only so much you could allow your heart to bleed, you know. There are too many sad and sorry cases throughout the world where you could allow yourself to take each one as your personal cross to bear. You die under the weight. And especially as a country, we cannot possibly bear all of those difficulties. Like even with Haiti, there are these problems. I read a story coming out of Jamaica where Haitians landed with a makeshift boat on the beach in Jamaica, a pregnant Haitian included, and the Jamaican constabulary force looking to post them back as fast as possible. Here's another one. UN warns of rights violations as more pregnant women deported to Haiti. The United Nations humanitarian country team in Haiti is raising alert over the growing number of vulnerable Haitian women, particularly those who are pregnant or breastfeeding, being deported from the Dominican Republic in what the team calls a violation of international humanitarian standards. According to the latest data from the International Organization for Migration, nearly 20,000 individuals, including a growing number of highly vulnerable women, were deported by land in April 2025, marking a record number for a one-month period at the Belledere and Unaminthi border crossings. The National Office for Migration and IOM, in coordination with other partners, have assisted on an average of 15 pregnant women and 15 breastfeeding mothers per day since the 22nd of April. Abdul, what kind of questions are you asking, sir? The same landmass? What don't you get, Paul? What don't you get? The Dominican Republic does not want an over-influx of Haitians in their country. So when too many of them, when they sneak across the border illegally, the Dominican Republic sends them back home. There isn't much to get there. Pretty straightforward. And that's just the reality as it stands. Jamaica, when Haitians land on their shores, send them back. Yes, it is on the same landmass, but so is Mexico and the United States. That doesn't stop Trumpy Boy from wanting to post some of them back, doesn't it? It's the reality. Borders are imaginary lines in the sand, yes, but they're in people's joint imagination, and that's enough. And countries have the right. They have the right to determine who we let in, who we want out. That's just the reality. As talking about who we let in and who we let out, I saw Trump had it out a bit with the South African president. Ooh. It will be interesting seeing the think pieces coming out from that one. It's going to be interesting seeing those think pieces. And he allowed in some of the South African Afrikaners into the United States as refugees because they are being persecuted. Bully Trinidad to accept Venezuelans as refugees. Correct. They did. They did. And that's why I don't like the United Nations. And I'm very happy that the current US administration is seeking to move as far away as possible from that USAID style of moralizing to the world. So, yeah, but yeah, you're right. They did. And they still do. Up till not too long ago, there was some volunteer organization that is representing Venezuelan refugees in Trinidad and Tobago that was being sponsored by USAID. So the United States is sponsoring legal representation for illegal crossers into Trinidad to turn around and sue Trinidad and win money from us. No, I don't agree with these people at all. I don't agree with these people at all. I don't like these things. And that's again the technicalities of bureaucracies. If this was a dictatorship, those things ain't gonna happen. I promise you, if it was a king in charge, there's no technicality to be had there. We don't want you and buy. I don't see a problem in that. All right, though, people. It was a late start. And I'm feeling the tiredness already. That's all I have for now. I'll see you guys again tomorrow. Tomorrow is Thursday. Get your rest. Think of your topics. Tomorrow is Thursday Talks, where we talk, as we do every night. But y'all talk more. So tune in tomorrow. I hope you're educated, informed, or entertained. I am Nathan Springer. This has been the Mindful Live Show. This was brought to you by Mindful Education. Sign up. We're looking to start a new stream for early childhood. Very limited, 4 spaces actually available. First come, first serve in that stream. We may see another stream if more come, but be sure to hit us up if you're interested in those classes. Full-time, part-time, pod classes. Hit us up and we will explain all to you. Be mindful, not mindless. Adios. Hold it down. Stay inside. Outside, little sketchy. I'm out.